and welcome to another edition of A Successful Transition from Monogamy to Open. Today, we're going to talk about some topics that I've had different people ask me to talk about. And so I think it's time to talk about how different people are going to be different sexually and how important it can be to understand how to deal with that. Because when people are making this transition, oftentimes they've been in monogamous relationships with the same person, having sex with one person for 10, 15, 20 years. And so suddenly now you're having sex with new people and you forget that not everybody is the same. Not everybody responds the same. Not everybody's orgasms are the same. Some women are multi-orgasmic and can have orgasm after orgasm. Others are one and done and they don't want to play anymore after that. Men can be the same way. And age doesn't always matter. I've seen men in their 20s who have one orgasm and then cannot get another erection for 24 hours. And men in their 40s who will have 6, 7 ejaculations in a row without losing an erection. So there is no standard. There's a very broad range. And I know a lot of times it's this common belief that men like to say, oh, men are so simple. Women are the complicated ones. We're so simple. We're all the same. Bullshit. Men are all very different. And some of them are just as moody as women are proposed to be. So, it's not about gender. It's about individual personalities. Different people are different. And that's the important thing you have to remember. So that, if someone doesn't respond the way you're used to your partner responding, it isn't necessarily about you. In fact, most of the time, it has nothing to do with you. It's not about whether or not you're good enough sexually. It's not about whether or not you're attractive enough. And especially when it comes to erections, I hear so many stories in the swinging lifestyle from men who will be with some woman who's brand new to them, and they have difficulty achieving an erection, and this woman will go off on them. She is angry, she's berating them, she's insulting to them, which is absolutely the worst thing you can do if someone is having difficulty with erections. I realize that a lot of people don't understand that erections are not within a man's conscious control. And for women, you have to think about it like your lubrication. This is not within your conscious control. You cannot just magically get wet on a dime because somebody says they want you to. It's not how the body works. And it's not how men's bodies work either. Now, I realize that a lot of men, when they're very young, get erections so easily that they somehow magically start to think that they do have control of this. I have seen physicians in my office who are having erectile issues who have had far more anatomy and physiology than I've ever had in my training, and yet they still think that somehow this is under their conscious control, that they should be able to make an erection happen because their partner wants it. And I have to sit there and explain to a physician that no, this is not in your conscious control. So I understand why people who don't have that level of training do not understand that this is not part of your conscious control. So one of the most important things you can do is that if erection difficulties are happening, one of the biggest mistakes we tend to make is we tend to focus more on it. People will try to give hand jobs, they'll try to give blow jobs. It's like, oh my God, we've got to get it hard right away. No, I know that's a common thing to want to do, and it's actually probably the worst thing you can do. I always like to say, penises have a mind of their own. If he's not in the mood, if he's too tired, if he's not up for it, whatever the reason is, leave him alone. He'll come back. Do something else. Men who are really smart and good lovers realize that when they are having erection difficulties, everything doesn't have to stop. Your hands still work, your mouth still works, toys still work, your imagination still works. There are other ways. Sex is a wonderful wide buffet. You don't have to keep going for the exact same thing over and over. There's a lot of things you can choose from that are still going to be fun and enjoying and pleasurable. And if you forget about him for a while, a lot of times he'll just come back on his own. Like, leave him alone. Now, there are times when it's more than just being tired, drinking too much. And there are certain types of issues where when erections are continually being problematic, that you need to understand and address. And so I think next week, I want to talk about, because there's 3 basic types of erection problems. There's the physiological problems, there's the hormonal problems, and then there's the psychological problems. And they're very different. They have different symptoms, and who you need to go see to help treat the problem is also different. Oftentimes people want to run into their medical doctor and get Viagra or Cialis, and that's not going to work for hormonal or psychological problems. And so now you're pumping your body full of chemicals that it may not need, and you're training your mind and your body to rely on things that it doesn't need. So I think next week we will talk about the 3 different types of erection problems, how to realize the difference, and who to see for them. So that's all for today. And I look forward to talking with you more about this next week. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye.